you guys were talking about this Elon Musk video game thing. My understanding is that he's been paying, allegedly, good players to play under his username, and then like he's done live streams where he has to play the game, and it's obvious that he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, so he's ranked in like an absurdly high level in these games, a level that you can only, I think it's Diablo is the game, but a level that you can only get to
So
if you play straight like 40 hours like
a week,
in 2 days or something like that.
Okay,
like an insane amount that somebody who says I'm running a whole bunch of businesses, I'm a titan of industry, and I'm also on Twitter all the time, could not conceivably do even just deducing from that.
Right.
But then he went online to stream, and these guys did a sort of watch along of his, and he makes a lot of sort of obvious mistakes. And we'll watch the first minute of this and maybe skip ahead to see some of the more egregious things.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So I will say it's not Diablo 4. So he claimed to have been ranked, and maybe his account was ranked very highly, I think top 20 in Diablo 4 a while ago. The game he got caught not being very good at live is Path of Exile 2, which is another like CRPG, like ARPG, like Diablo-like game.
Okay. I don't even, what console do you play this on? I don't even know any of
PC.
these.
Computer.
Computer. Okay.
Yep.
These are games that you have to be like absolutely addicted to. Like these aren't like games.
Yeah, you gotta know
Like,
like
wow.
these.
Like
Yeah.
when I got really
Yeah.
good at Elden Ring, which is another game Elon like was busted faking, he had a terrible build at. It's an antisocial period of your life.
Okay.
gosh.
Understood.
1 second here.
At one point, I have a lifetime of playing video games. At one point, I was, maybe one of the best Quake players in the world.
You're actually like a world-class, incredible video game player.
Yeah.
Paragon board and the build, you're also an innovator there.
Yeah, I played a lot of video games.
You think about like StarCraft, any game where a lot of people are
Yeah.
playing, to rise to the top, you have to be exceptional, period, as a
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
There has to be something exceptional about you.
Yeah.
Are you the
Player.
top 20 in the world or
Yeah.
top 20? Wow, in Diablo.
Yeah.
Shooting rockets into space, making e-vehicles, starting a new department of the government. I actually let myself think maybe he actually is an alien, because there's just no way, unless he's paying people to do it for him, which obviously he's not.
Oh,
Now, what I
Obviously
just
not
want to
also-
real quick there before we go into Quinn's breakdown. What's so funny about those clips they included is Joe Rogan and that guy there, they know he's lying. They know Elon is lying. Joe is like, really? You're top 20 all time? They know the incredulity is there, but they are afraid to criticize the billionaire who's actually funding all that.
simps. Yep.
Well, I
Yeah.
will say, I mean, they might just not know enough about Diablo 4 to understand like how much you have to like know life it. So they might know he's lying, but they might not realize like how obvious it is to everyone else that he's lying. Like how your parents don't know how much like gaming you might need to do in order to be like ranked number 1 in League
Right.
of Legends. Well, that's not how League of Legends works, but you know what I mean. We can play the clip. I have thoughts about it in terms of Elden Ring.
Me too, but I do just want to Matt's point about how they know he's lying. I heard Kyle Clancy make this point the other day just about this era that we're in, like this postmodern era where it's all about your internal truth and you can make your own reality. And there's no objective truth. It's just my truth. Like, I really do think that Elon and this conservative MAGA movement epitomizes that very like mass psychosis that a lot of people are under right now. Just the idea that you can just by the sheer force of will and by his amount of money make your own reality, and it's not lying because you believe it. This seems to be an example of that.
Well, I agree with you, and I'll just add to that a little bit where it's that, and it's also we're now entering the era of like we used to have plausible deniability where it was like, okay, you have an excuse for it. Now we've entered the era of like implausible deniability, so where as long as people don't have perfect knowledge of it not being true, even if it doesn't make any sense and like based on any kind of context or knowledge general about the game or about Elon, about the way he lives his life, if you don't have like video of it, people will claim that it's unknowable unless you produce that.
Even
which
if
is not
you
how much
do.
knowledge is done.
Deniability. Yeah.
Even if you do, January 6th, we have every angle we could possibly have. I mean, Trump's efforts to overturn the election, but it doesn't matter because it's about following your faves and the force of their personality and their insistence on lying that determines things. And it's just like a display of sheer power.
But let's split things up a little bit because we're talking about these media professionals and commentators the actual people that they speak to are not happy about Elon Musk lying about the video game plane. You saw the early split with the H-1B thing where they're like, oh, okay, Elon and Vivek say it's good to replace workers, American workers with overseas workers because of Saved by the Bell. Okay, I guess I'll follow along with that. When it is, oh, he's saying he's better at a video game that I spend tens of hours a day on, I can clearly see he's lying. That's something you can't really
lie your way out of.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's why the story's fun. Yeah.
Some context. Elon Musk's character is currently level 97, aka rank 12 on hardcore, that's permanent death mode, Trade League. Let me try to give you a quick understanding as to how hard it is to get to that level. 2 weeks into the league, when people are playing the game, literally they're staying up 40 to 50 hours without sleeping, only playing Path of Exile, and they are the most try-hard guys in the world. The highest ranked player on the hardcore Trade League was level 93. Okay, and you're thinking about yourself, that's kind of close to 97. Every time you level up, it becomes exponentially harder to gain experience. A lot harder and a lot harder. Okay, so these players, to get to 97, have to be playing the game every day for the majority of their day. Currently, what is their highest ranked player? They're level 97, same as Elon Musk. So, I mean, he effectively has been playing, pretty much just doing nothing except playing Path of Exile. So let's just go over some of the things that happened. So right away, we see Elon zone into his hideout, which is the area you do in-game content from. And he opens up his bank, and he goes to a tab called Elon's Maps, which immediately is a little bit of a red flag, because I don't know why you would refer to yourself in third person, but okay, he does that. Elon Musk didn't play Path of Exile 1. In Path of Exile 2, maps are actually called waystones.
Okay, so it gets a little bit technical here, Bradley. Skip to about 5 minutes in, unless you had something you want to say before we skip that far ahead, Brandon.
Well, I mean, I was going to say this is all very technical. I've thought about playing Path of Exile, but I'm still like, I haven't played the Elden Ring DLC. I just booted it back up and I was like, oh God, I have 260 hours in this game. I barely scratched the surface. I need to like really, get stuck in. But just seeing his Elden Ring build from when he posted it, like when the game first came out,
exactly.
Like I don't need any of this technical information. It's just like a cursory understanding of like the way the Elden Ring game works, which is infinitely less complex and less difficult in its mechanics than something like Diablo and Path of Exile. Regardless of what you think about the quality of each of the games, I can only speak to Elden Ring. It's infinitely less complex than those games are in terms of how you can actually play and beat it and be successful at it. Seeing his build in Elden Ring made me convinced that he didn't not only know anything about Elden Ring, but about basic RPG mechanics themselves. And so it would just be impossible to create the kind of build in Elden Ring he created and also be good at like other RPGs, because it just doesn't it just shows a fundamental lack of understanding about how the mechanics of any game like that works.
Yeah, there's a video with 2.3 million views on that, which is beating Melania, which is a boss, not Trump's. But beating Melania with Elon Musk's terrible Elden Ring build, which is a guy who is really good at Elden Ring, tries to use the guy Elon made to beat the game, and it turns out it's not a very optimal build, and most people, it's pretty apparent that it's not.
It's not even a good challenge build. It's not even a good challenge build either. Like there are glass cannon builds. There are builds where you put no points into defense, or even level 1 builds. It's not even a challenge build. It's just somebody who threw stuff at a wall, like a randomizer.
I think to Brandon's point, though, I think there's something to that. Like the games that Elon is quote unquote choosing to play. If he was to pick a game, the game I play the most is probably Fortnite. I play Fortnite all the time. If Elon was to say he was a top Fortnite player, totally believable. That's a game you could actually master without spending a lot of time on and be a great player. He's picking games that are for a specific niche audience that are known within the gaming world to be oh, those are really technical games that are tough to master. You got to be a real nerd to play those games. And it's less believable, but also it's feeding his ego. If you were to tell someone you were a great Fortnite player, there's a bunch of great Fortnite players. If you were to tell someone you were a great player in one of these games, oh, I don't touch that game. Like Brandon was saying, it's too complex, too complicated. I don't get the time to play that that he's like he's got to pick these games because it's not just good enough for him to be a master at video games. He's got to be a master at the very specific games that help build up the status of him being a genius.
Yeah, let's play a little bit more of this, and I gotta point on like that type of line from really, celebrities, basically. Go ahead, Brad.
Cluttered, and you won't even notice when you get a good drop. It's unfathomable for someone to be in the top ranks without a loot filter. Yet Elon Musk, the god gamer, he doesn't play with a loot filter. The only thing Elon does pick up are maps, because the default in-game loot filter highlights those. Those things are worthless. The actual items of value that he should be picking up, that he would have had to pick up in order to get the gear, leave it on the ground. Anyone who's been playing the game and is a complete expert, we're talking he's cleared thousands of maps, he's been playing that character for hundreds of hours, he's going to be pretty damn good at, playing the character. He gets to the boss, he's fighting the boss, and I would say for about 10 seconds, he sits there and he's out of mana. Mana is a resource in this game where you need it in order to use your abilities. He just sits there, default attacking the boss without activating his mana flask. Anyone who's played the game and understands the character would understand, like, oh, I'm not doing any damage because I'm out of mana. Elon Musk takes 10 seconds. He then goes on to loot items off the ground. He starts dragging them into his bag. Like, I don't even know how to describe to you how painful that is to anyone who actually plays the game. And his bags are full, and he just keeps clicking it over and over and over again. Nobody, not even people who are kind of noobs at the game, do this. I don't even think Elon Musk
this is on stream where Elon's talking, so it becomes clear that's what, right? Like
that he didn't play the game to this level to get it that far,
right?
Because he's not playing in an optimized fashion at all.
Yeah,
right. So the question is first of all, just to anybody watching this, playing video games is not unattractive. Lying about how good you are at video games, very, I would say, not good for picking up women.
It's
that
cringe,
would be one. If you're
embarrassing. This is embarrassing.
If you're not a billionaire, please don't try to replicate this man's game. It's pathetic. So why does he need to do this? This is his level of insecurity is just this gaping hole. I understand that his father didn't hug him a lot when he was a kid and thinks he's a disappointment or whatever, but it's just like the level that drive of how much that drives him, his constant inferiority, his lying about his credentials and all of that. He is the smallest man in the world, and he's also the richest man in the world, and that's what's just crazy to see about his horrible psychology.
I think there's two things. There's one thing which is just when you're a very powerful person for decades, you lose the ability to lie convincingly because nobody is going to call you on this stuff. And I think LeBron James is a good example of this. I think he said he watched The Godfather 2 100 times, and someone's like, "Can you give a quote from it?" And he's like, "Oh,
yeah."
And it's because it's the same way Elon says about these games. The Godfather 2 is the film version of these type of games, just very highly respected among the folks. But also, Elon is a psychopath. Elon accused a guy of being a pedophile who wanted to help kids who were trapped underwater 6 years ago. I think it was that in Thailand. He is a psychopath.
Right.
Well,
I think passively watch movies in the background, though. To play a game, you got to know the game at the very basic level, at the very least. And it doesn't seem like Elon even has that knowledge about this game that he's apparently one of the greatest players on the planet for.
Well, to be fair, Elon Musk also lies about watching movies too. He's a fake nerd man boy. It's very weird. To be that kind of poser is so weird. I guess we've just entered that world with the Marvelification of everything. It gets now cool enough to be that kind of guy that he pretends to be, because he also lied about watching and remembering Blade Runner. Remember when he didn't know the protagonist of Blade Runner's name? He was calling him Blade Runner. He was calling Harrison Ford's character Blade Runner in it, and it was
right.
You mean Deckard?
He really is and I wonder if there's any.
You just watch Blade Runner.
He could have, but I read back in 2016 after Trump won the Devil's Bargain about Steve Bannon and his connection to Gamergate and all of that, and it feels like Elon Musk is an overgrown rich guy who would have been obsessed with Gamergate back in the day. I'm not sure if he was, but it's as if that movement is still kicking around and has been successfully to Bannon's liking, I'm sure, incorporated into the Donald Trump movement. This was very much what he was trying to create in terms of like youth support for the Republican Party. But Elon's just like a big baby creature of that who's not convincing at all. The only reason he's even out there is because of the billions that he has.
He won a bet PayPal. Yeah, exactly. He's apparently taking a streamer named Asmongold's blue check mark away and leaked his DMs. So going well for Elon.
I saw this. Asmongold's the guy who he's not any better himself, really, but obviously he's better than Elon Musk, I'm sure. He's the guy who lives in his own filth and like he's been on stream with like cockroaches crawling on him and stuff.
What?
Yeah, these guys are. He was like one of the best World of Warcraft players on the planet or something.
Well, that makes sense.
That's
one of the
literally the
legit
South
gamers.
Park episode where they shit themselves.
He's
That's
one
that
of the
guy.
legit guys who is like sitting in front of the computer playing the video game to the point where you get a level of mastery that Elon Musk wants to get.
Right.
The problem is like, why does Elon want to do that? You are a titan of industries across the globe.
Right. So Asmongold went from being a Warcraft player to being like one of those reaction guys because World of Warcraft isn't as big as it used to be. It's probably not paying the bills anymore. But apparently Asmongold, because of that video, felt compelled to get to say something because, I guess he doesn't want to hurt his own status among his audience. And he lightly criticized Musk, apparently. And so Musk came in and said that Asmongold is not as independent as you'd think and that he answers to a higher power. And his evidence of this were leaked DMs. I don't know if these DMs were to Elon himself, but they probably seems like they were.
They're weird for the guy who owns the sort of network. But anyway, go ahead, Bender.
Right. So in it, Elon or someone is asking Asmongold in these DMs about like putting content up on his channel or something or his process, some question. And Asmongold is like, oh yeah, let me check with my editors. I got two guys who basically run my YouTube channel for me. And Elon apparently doesn't know the difference between video editors and like your editor at a news publication. So he thinks Asmongold has editors, as in someone he's got to pitch to and get permission to cover something for. But what Asmongold is actually talking about is he's a creator. He's got two guys who edits his video and run his channel because he doesn't want to deal with the editing process. And he just basically defers all editing, creative like decisions to those guys. That's what he meant. And Elon is sharing these DMs as if Asmongold is owned by these two rando guys.
Good save, Bender. Everyone knows that the secret puppeteers of this YouTube game are the editors. I mean, we have our editor in studio right now. He's keeping a close eye on all the things we say in Sam's absence. So yeah, the editors are the people.
Sam even must have to answer to Dorsey, right? Dorsey,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I will say it's all very silly, obviously, and embarrassing on Elon's part. But like you were hinting at earlier, Matt Leck, these kinds of like revelations are, wake some people up, because for a lot of people who aren't familiar with like how obviously inept Elon is across the board, they just believe the hype that he's just like a hyper competent, hyper rational, like, autodidact, right? But that illusion gets dispelled the moment he starts speaking about something that you happen to know a lot about, and you realize that he doesn't know anything about it. This happens with like, pundits for the New York Times all the time too. Like they'll start to like waxing about like the type of sandwiches people eat, and they're like, oh, you don't know mortadella from a hole in the wall. How can I trust your thoughts on anything else? And so the kind of people he's trying to cultivate like a relationship with will somehow be turned off by this, despite and not be turned off by the other elements of his personality and lifestyle. So I mean,
because they can fact check it on their own. They don't need to go to Kotaku or something. They know that he's lying.
Right, but then that's the limits of the thought of the kind of creating your own reality that I mentioned earlier. Is that once you bump up against actual expertise, and when you're paying and gaming an algorithm of a company that you own to put up a bunch of misinformation where, I don't know, like anti-vax stuff or whatever, you can cosplay as somebody that may know what they're talking about, but people can independently figure this out, or if they're fans of this game. So I hope it causes other people to reflect on Elon, but maybe maybe not. We'll see.
I already did see some people be like, I can't believe this. Like, Elon is such a respectable figure when it comes to so many things. Why would he do this for video games? And there's people in their mentions like, let's try connecting the dots here and see, maybe you should question the other things too. Yeah. But some people just can't. Some people just don't have the brain capacity, apparently, to put two and two together and recalculate or take another look at what they already believe to be true. They just think that this is like the one-off.
Here's 2 Elon fans with check marks. This first tweet got 86,000 likes. Elon lost the trust of all gamers overnight. Boosting your account and lying about it is the worst offense. Incredibly cringe, fragile ego on display. And then another guy says, man, I still hope this isn't true. I'm such a big fan of his primarily because of his integrity. And then the next guy says, I defend him most of the time, but this seems to be true, unfortunately. And what's so funny is like that second tweet just seems like a bot, but it's like, no, these actually are real people.
Right.
And, and Elon has lost them. Like, I would have expected the bot to say like, no, I still believe Elon. Like, no, these people are actually like, I hope this isn't true.
Well, you can't some people have no problem with this, but those people are usually employed in media, but you can't leverage your own intelligence for Elon Musk. Elon Musk's a billionaire. Some people are, if you come out and you start saying things that are demonstrably false in, service of his lie, and people are just gonna call you stupid too. And now that, we got to that point, these people aren't willing to do that. But, every child has to find out that Santa isn't real, at some point in their life. And, for some people, Santa's Elon. It's like a South African
same body shape.
That's so true. He is Santa. It's the electric cars, it's the space, it's the drones. Like, he has squatted all of the sort of markers of future progress, and he's
He's Santa for men with daddy issues.
Yep. 64625.
This is really bothering me, actually, because I feel like this is sullying the good name of Santa Claus. I mean, to be more real to me than Elon Musk, I'll tell you that much.
I just opened up the phone lines, folks. 646-257-3920. Shapeshifter says, I know Jordan Peterson was a fraud. Sadly, I was into self-help and positive psychology when he released 12 Rules of Life, and I just glanced at it and saw it was just recycled crap. I know a few people who are not right-wingers who, at like different points in their lives, or some of them ended up right-wing, but were drawn to like that self-help thing that he was putting out there. I mean, that's how he laundered it. Gerald from New Orleans says, guys, Elon managed to get his hardcore character killed in a stunning display of incompetence. Did that happen too?
Do watch the Melania one is so funny. Check that out.
I mean, I think the obvious answer is Elon Musk just needs to play like one of those pro-Korean esports athletes at like StarCraft or something, and then in like live in person at one of these esports live events, and that'll put all the questions to rest. We'll know for real if he could hang with the best.
No. Elon versus me, Super Smash Brothers Melee, Final Destination, no items. Let's five stock. Let's handle this like men, like gentlemen.
I think he could probably pull off those like games where you just like smash the buttons. So I don't know if that's the best tell of his gaming prowess.
Mizzle says, Elon tried the hardest out of anyone in the world to be cool, from the fake gaming credentials to recycling of old memes. He has zero originality and is failing hard at trying to buy the veneer of being a cool person. Yes. Ayn Rand, Paul Ryan. Oh my God, Emma, you do not want to know the Asmongold lore. So much controversies and filthiness. I do not want to know. That's
Hassan's job.
I'm glad that I don't know who this person is, except that apparently this person is very dirty.
I wish we wouldn't call like someone who doesn't clean up, like not cleaning up lore.
Yeah, I don't know if like that's the reputation that you would want, but I guess
he's the guy who recently went viral a couple of weeks or months ago and got banned from Twitch for basically saying that he doesn't care about Palestinian people because they have inferior culture or something like that.
Oh, fuck that guy then.
Well, and then he had to talk about it with Hassan, but that's what prompted all of the sort of folks trying to get Hassan banned likewise. Hey,
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.